How much is the competition elevated, and do you have kind of a pecking order yet, or will it be kind of juggling right now through the rest of the spring until the fall?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that Ken's brought to the room, obviously, is he has brought competition. He's also brought an element of elevating everyone's game, I guess would be a good way to put it. I think everybody noticed right away the guy's got a pretty special skill set, and he's come out and he's really elevated everyone's game. But the competition's been awesome. Guys are competing against each other, and I think they are getting better. I think I've seen a substantial improvement from everyone in our room from last year to this year, and obviously having Ken has added to that.
And with Elijah in particular, I mean, between the 2019 tape that you saw and what you saw in person in 2020, what do you think was the difference, and how can he get back to maybe that level he was at 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think obviously last year was a challenging time for a lot of people, different situations. I won't get into too many specifics with him. You can ask him when you speak to him later. But Elijah's a different person this spring. I've seen a totally different kid, different back, and he's really done a really good job. He's always been very, very coachable. Just some things last season maybe weren't as easy as they had been previously, but he's starting to get back to that.
Next question is from Matt Wenzel with M Live.
William, you talk about the guys you have in your room. You got 5 there right now, and pending 2 more to come this summer. With 7 guys in the room, how are you able to try and keep everybody happy and engaged when there's more bodies than really you can spread out in a typical game rotation?
Yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, it is competition. But one thing I am very pleased with our group, it's competition in a healthy way. We're not necessarily competing against each other. We're competing to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And I think as long as you do that, the chips are going to fall how they may. And really have been pleased with the way each guy, when a guy comes off the field, the next guy is supporting him, coaching him up on different things. Ultimately, the stuff's going to work itself out, I think, ultimately. But I've been really, really pleased with the guy's effort.
And for Jordan, as a guy who came in and led you guys in rushing as a true freshman, kind of a surprise, I guess some people would say. But what have you seen from him this spring trying to build off that when you do have a guy like Connor coming back with all that experience, Elijah being almost 1,000-yard rusher in 19, you bring in Ken and all the other guys you've got?
Yeah, ultimately, again, incremental improvements, daily improvement. I've seen Jordan get better every single day from day one of spring ball till today. He had his best run, I thought, of the entire spring during one of our low red periods, and he's just continuing to improve.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Next question is from Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Coach. With the schools that you've been at and experience you've had watching running backs, tight ends, and things like that, particularly for running backs, have you seen any change in trends as it relates to the new running backs coming in, or are people pretty much living off the same basic principles, of being a running back? Or are you seeing things differently?
Yeah, Lindsey, I think the number one thing that I've seen is the move to playing more multiple backs. You don't usually see the one back that plays the whole game like we did years ago back when Jim Brown, which I never really saw, but I've obviously seen the clips of it. But there's just not a lot of 30 to 35 carries. I think guys understand that. If you look at the NFL, the lifespan for a running back is less in the NFL than probably any other position. And guys realize when they get that opportunity to play at the next level, they want their bodies taken care of. And I think that's why guys are much more open. And you see it at several other schools throughout the country, multiple backs playing, because they know it keeps their bodies healthy and keeps them fresh for late in the game to finish. That's probably been the biggest trend I've noticed.
Great. And just a quick follow-up. Are these guys picking up on that once they get to the collegiate level, or are they coming in from high school understanding that?
A lot of that's in the recruiting process, understanding, you look at a lot of programs throughout the country, they're signing 2 and 3 backs in a year. You look back to Bama years ago, I think they signed like Alvin Kamara and several other great backs in the same class, maybe Derrick Henry. Just kind of works out that way, and guys understand, hey, it's compete to stay, compete to play, and everything's competition in our program, and they understand that. I think as long as you're truthful and you tell them exactly what to expect when they get there, they're not disappointed because they know what to expect.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Paul with Spartan Mag.
Hey, Will, thanks for taking the time to do this. I just wanted to ask you about, your takeaways from some of the scrimmages. What did you see in the scrimmages as far as what guys are doing now that maybe they weren't doing, during the season, whether it's understanding the playbook or seeing holes that they didn't see before?
Yeah, I think more than anything, I think you've seen the drill work and things of that nature that we were trying to work and implement in the fall season carry over into practice. I think the pass protection's improved drastically. That was something I was really disappointed in last year. ultimately we didn't play very well last year. I wasn't pleased with the way we played, but I think our guys have kind of put a chip on their shoulder and said, let's go compete our asses off and take this thing to the next level.
And one thing that I guess as a follow-up that maybe people don't know about Kenneth Walker is that he can catch the ball to the backfield a little bit. I know that's something he wants to do a little bit more of. What have you seen from him in that regard?
Yeah, ultimately, what I've seen out of Ken Walker is anytime you put the ball in his hands, you got a chance to hit a home run. And that's what we want to do. We want to put the ball in his hands, whether that be handing it to him, throwing it to him in any different way we can get it to him, because he's a dang good football player.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question, I'll go back to Chris with the Detroit Free Press.
That kind of leads right into my next question. I mean, have you ever seen a year, I know it was only 7 games, but a season where the running backs didn't hit the end zone at all? And how much do you guys drill that into them right now? I imagine that's a big talking point for you guys.
Absolutely. Last year was unique, but not to make excuses. There are no excuses. Ultimately, you're responsible for the product on the field. But one of the things we've really emphasized this spring is low pad level and finishing runs on the goal line. We plan on eliminating any misconceptions that we're not a physical unit.
Next question, I'll go to Nate Atkins with the Lansing State Journal.
Yeah, William, I'm just curious just what this spring, having it normal with workouts and practices, what this does for you guys just as coaches to kind of understand each other and what Mel's looking for, and how beneficial is it to have practices where you can kind of see players run through certain things and come back as a staff and discuss it, compared to last year when obviously you didn't have any of that.
Well, Nate, it's just totally different. I mean, it really, I know I keep saying that, but it's just a totally different deal. It feels normal again to a certain extent. Last year, early in fall camp, we were on 2 different fields during practices. We couldn't be on the same field. And, as we've continued to go through this thing, just being able to make improvements, communicate things. I think that's been the biggest piece, is the ability to communicate better, being in the same room with each other again and things of that nature. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, and just as a quick follow-up, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, you saw Mel last year in these practices. I know he's pretty intense out there, but just what has his kind of energy level and vibe been this spring when you guys have been out there on the field?
Yeah, high velocity and nonstop. He always talks about relentless. We're always we really try to preach the finish. And, that's something that we've really tried to do. We're trying to knock the ball out on defense and take care of it on offense. And he's really trying to, pick up the tempo and the way we practice. Last year, we weren't really where we needed to be from a conditioning standpoint to really push the tempo. And I think this year we're able to push the tempo a little bit better in practice and be more consistent and sustain over time.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go back to Chris with the Free Press.
2 guys we haven't really talked about. I guess first with Eaglin, I guess, what have you seen this spring out of him after not getting any reps last year? Any case? Yeah,
Eaglin's actually, in my opinion, him and Collins are the 2 most improved backs we've had this spring. I think Eaglin's really taken the next step. Last year he wasn't ready, just being transparent, wasn't ready for the playing time that could have possibly been provided. But this year he's really taken advantage of the situations that he's gotten. Going back to the scrimmage, I think he had a 23-yard conversion on a 3rd down, just on a check down. He went and just competed and got it done and finished the run and got the 1st down for us. He's really done a nice job, and he's shown us that he has the ability to help move the sticks in the short yardage situation, apparently. Or,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. With Connor in particular, he's been a guy that's kind of been used in a lot of different ways. But I would imagine with the changeover and different guys coming in, the young guys, I mean, where's his leadership at for you guys in that room right now?
Yeah, he's been, I always preach about Connor. He's gone above and beyond since I've been here to do the right things. He's been a really good leader. He's a guy that can play multiple positions. He's a guy that understands what the receivers are supposed to do and also what the running backs are supposed to do. And just his versatility. And honestly, he's just a really darn good football player. He's probably got the best hands on our offense, and just a guy that I feel like you can plug and play anywhere that can help our team. And he's actually had some explosive runs this spring. I'm sure you probably saw one of the deals that went viral. We had like a 45-yard run in a practice. So he's really done a nice job for us.
And since Wenzel decided to back out, the line in front of those guys, how much of it right now are you seeing the holes open? How much of it is your backs knowing the blockers and the visions that they've got. I mean, where are you seeing that component?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of both. Obviously there's been some cleaner creases this spring than there were last fall. But the other thing that's really stood out to me is our guys have learned one thing backs don't do a very good job of when they come from high school to college is they don't understand pressing the line of scrimmage. You have to press the line of scrimmage and then make your cut. And a lot of times guys are trying to make cuts, 4 and 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. You can't do that. You got to press the line of scrimmage, make one cut, get north-south. And I think that's been the biggest improvement, just the willingness to go hit it downhill right now.
Our last question will be from Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Will, good to see you.
Hey, Steven.
I guess sort of just going along those same lines. I mean, does this spring allow you to did it allow, I guess earlier, maybe even in winter, allow you to sort of get back to some basics? I think Mel had talked about, when he'd mentioned the run game, backs not knowing where to go, offensive line doing the, all encompassing sort of stuff. Were you able to get back to basics sort of a little bit and teach some of those sort of fundamental things? And if so, like what were your points of emphasis after last year?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, really and truly, it's just you've been in a position to actually have a teaching progression. Last year, everything was so fast and so sped up that you didn't really have time to progress things out. But again, we're an inside zone team. I mean, if you watch us, we're an inside zone, wide zone team primarily. And there is a certain skill set that you have to have. You have to understand, going back to the last question, if we're running the ball to the G, for example, pressing the G, reading that down lineman and getting their eyes where they need to be. Running backs isn't just running to a hole, it's pressing the line of scrimmage and cutting off blocks. A lot of times space is actually not your friend. And, we always talk about, pressing and hitting it vertical. And I think that's one of the things we've really improved on. And also probably the second thing is pass protection. We've really been able to slow it down and get a lot better. I thought our hands were horrible last year. We didn't play as physical as we needed to, but I think the guys have really bought into trying to improve that aspect. Because again, if you have goal to play at the next level, unless you're a first round pick, you better be able to pass pro at the next level. And that's one thing our guys have really bought into.
One other thing really quick, if I could.
Yeah,
I know
please.
you guys still have a couple more, obviously, but if you could look towards summer and fall, what do you think, I guess, at this point will sort of be your message or priority with the running backs as you move toward camp and obviously next season?
Steven, just improve. Just improve, be the best version of you. If you do that, I'll figure it out from there. And that's kind of been the message from the beginning. I want the best version of Ken Walker, whatever that looks like. Same thing with Connor Hayward. Same thing with Jordan Simmons. I want guys to obviously learn the playbook a little bit better. I think we've been pretty sharp this spring, but there's never enough information that you can learn. Keep learning, keep improving, finding different ways, be in better shape. That was the thing last year with fall camp. We weren't in shape. We were in shape. We were running at home and all that stuff. Like, our guys were definitely training, but now they've had a real off season, an opportunity to actually come into camp in shape. And I think that'll really make a huge difference in our football team.
And I guess this will actually be the last thing. I'm not seeing anything else in the queue if you got to go, but
I don't have anything to do, man.
All right. When you have the true training program, physically, any of your guys that you noticed major differences from, whether it was weight, speed, agility, I mean, having that benefit this year, how did you see that play out in spring so far?
Honestly, everyone. Obviously I didn't have Ken last year, but Ken came in shape, and Elijah looks like a totally different kid. Jordan was doing a nice job, has been doing a good job. Dono is a much better player than he was a year ago. And Connor, I always make fun of Connor, but Connor is the strongest running back we have. Obviously he's the biggest kid, but he does a good job. These guys compete, man. They really do work their tails off. I've got a good group as far as the work ethic is concerned.
All right. Thanks so much, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Our coach, well, I appreciate you joining us. We have Coach Tucker here coming up shortly, so we'll let you go, and appreciate your time. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Go Green.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
All right, for those that are just joining, we'll have Coach Tucker on at 1, and unfortunately things are kind of spaced out. I try to get everything as lined up as possible, but after Coach Tucker, I have Noah Harvey at 2, Elijah Collins at 2:30. So the link will stay live. I'll keep it open. If people, leave and come back in, that's totally fine. I just want to give you a heads up that the things will be spaced out a little bit. So we'll get Coach Tucker on here in a couple minutes. Thank you. As we wait for Coach Tucker to join us, just a friendly reminder to everybody, if they have not submitted their immediate credential request, to do so by today. And if we can accommodate, we will let you know. Thank you. All right, at this time, we're joined by Michigan State head football coach Mel Tucker. Michigan State concludes spring practice on Saturday, April 24th at 2 p.m. in Spartan Stadium. The event will be televised live on the Big Ten Network and also broadcast statewide on the TCF Bank Media Network. And Coach, thanks for joining us today as we get ready for the final week of spring practice.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I know there's a lot of talk about the format of the Saturday spring practice. Just what we're going to do is we're just going to give our fans and everyone an inside look at how we practice. It's not going to be a game per se. Really, the focus is going to be on the efficiency, the attention to detail, the sense of urgency in which we practice, the enthusiasm, the high effort, the high energy. And that's really how we go about our practices. It's going to be a chance for everyone to see the culture of our practices and emphasize how we really go to work. We want it to be very competitive, and this format that we're planning is going to be the best way to really display all of those things based upon the guys that we have available. The drills in the first half of the practice will really set the tone, and then we'll have some live scrimmage work in the second half of the practice. In terms of recruiting, there's been a lot of talk about the transfer portal, and there's a lot of activity in the portal, for us and everyone in the country. Our activity in the portal is going to be based upon the circumstances of our team. And so I just want everyone to understand that we're going to do what we have to do to build our team. I don't anticipate necessarily being in the portal as much in subsequent years. We would ideally like to build our team through the high school ranks, and that's really our primary focus. We will use the portal to complement and supplement the talent on our team. Having fans in the stands for the spring practice on Saturday, we're really excited about that. It's really an opportunity for our players to play in front of fans. We've been looking forward to this for quite some time. It's exposure for our program. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network, which is huge for us. We'll have the band, we'll have the cheer team there. It's going to be a great environment, and it's something that we didn't have a year ago, and we're really excited to have that on Saturday. So, with that being said, I'll open up for questions.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Chris Tolar from the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Mel, good to see you.
Good to see you, Chris.
Now that you guys are about, I think, 12 or 13 practices through, from a health standpoint, have you been able to get through fairly unscathed? Is there anyone you anticipate won't be able to go on Saturday?
Yeah, we've been relatively healthy. We'll see, what the injury report is, after practice, at the end of today and tomorrow morning, and we'll go through. It's a fluid situation, but in terms of catastrophic type injuries, we've been able to avoid those for the most part.
How has that helped with what you've been trying to establish with competition as well, to have the guys healthy and pushing each other?
It means a lot to be out on the field. You can't make the club in the tub, so you need to be out there practicing and getting work and getting better. And that's how we have more competitive practices. The more guys that are available to practice and get out there and compete and get better, the better football team we're going to have.
Our next question will go to Matt Charbonneau with the Detroit News.
Hey, Mel. I know you mentioned the fans being there. And considering the way last year went, these guys haven't played in front of fans really in quite a while now. Not that it's going to be packed or anything, but do you sense an excitement from these guys to having at least somebody there, somebody besides some family and friends to see what's going on?
Yeah, I do. I do sense some excitement from our players and also from our coaches. It's an opportunity to get out there in front of our fans. You know, we haven't had that, and it's very exciting. We're looking forward to it.
And then I wanted to ask too, I know I'm sure we'll keep asking about this well into preseason camp and whatnot, but as you get to the end of spring, your quarterback situation is going to continue to be a focus here. Where would you say those guys are at this point? You know, getting to the end of spring, I'm speaking specifically probably with Anthony and Peyton, but obviously if some other guys are making some moves, those guys too.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're just competing and working to get better. You know, it hasn't shaken itself out yet. At some point that it will, but it's really too early for that to happen. But I really like the progress that they've made. They're working really hard, and you know, guys are getting better. You know, we're getting better as a football team. That's the most important thing at this time of year.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next question will go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey Mel, can't make the tub in the club. Can't make the club in the tub. That's worth repeating. Just want to say that. To Matt's follow-up, you know, as it relates to the excitement, is there still a mental toughness expectation, even though it's not an actual game scenario? You still want your guys to be locked in. You still want everyone to do the things they're supposed to do, even though there's like some glamour and glitz going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a meat and potatoes type practice. It's not going to be a whole lot of French pastry in terms of inside the lines. You know, whatever's going on outside of the lines, it is what it is. But in terms of the practice, you know, we're going to do what we do. We got to get out there. We got to get work done. I mean, it's practice 15 for us, and it's another opportunity to get better. And you know, aggregation of marginal gains. We just got to get 1-2% better. Everything we're doing, you know, every day, individually and collectively. That's the goal of that practice.
And as a quick follow-up for the, you know, incoming freshmen, early signees like an Ethan Boyd or someone like that, do you think this is going to be a real big experience for them because the lights will finally be on?
Yeah, I think it will be, and we'll see how they react, and that's part of the process. And that's really part of the progression. You know, you just take it from, you know, the meeting rooms, and you take it to a walkthrough. You take it to you know, you take it to individual, then you take it to group work, you take it to a scrimmage, and you take it to a live game. You know, and this is the closest to, you know, a live game that you can really get when you get into the stadium and you actually have fans, and you do go live. And so even though it's not going to be a total game format, it's going to be more of a glimpse into how we run our practices. It's going to be very competitive. We are going to have some live periods in there, and there's going to be fans, and there's going to be some excitement. There'll be some pressure as well.
I got it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Next question is from Kellen Buddy with WILX.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for chatting with us today. We kind of touched on it a little bit. The spring game with the fans and the added excitement. You mentioned the players are kind of excited for it, but when we first heard we are going to be able to have fans at the spring game, you said this is going to be super exciting, and we might as well get the cheerleaders, the band in there, and of course we're going to see that. So from your perspective, how is this kind of a celebration of maybe a fresh start with, you know, being able to start recruiting, getting fans in, and kind of the whole shebang there?
I just think it's great exposure for our program. It's good for our fans. It's good for our players. You know, everyone wants to be in the stadium. Everyone's hungry for football, and you know, it's just a great opportunity for us to go out and show you know, where we are at this point and connect with our fans. And you know, obviously recruiting has never stopped. It doesn't begin on Saturday. It's just we recruit every single day. So, but we're really excited about it. I mean, I can't say it enough. But when we step on the field on Saturday, we'll be locked in again better.
Next question is from Matt Wenzel with MLive.
Hey Mel, just for clarification, will Saturday's spring game still count as one of the 3 spring practices in which you primarily use an 11-on-11 scrimmage format, or are you planning on using that elsewhere?
This is going to be pretty much how we practice normally, but we will have some live periods. So it'll be an opportunity to showcase, you know, how we operate of practice. The individual periods, the group periods, the team periods. How we move from drill to drill. With the sense of urgency, the attention to detail, how hard our guys play, how physical they are, and how efficient we are. And we'll have some live periods, mixed in. So we'll get that live, scrimmage feel to it. So I think that's the best way to showcase where we are at this point.
And with all your experience coaching in college at different stops, it looked like you did more of a regular spring game last year at Colorado. But is this something closer to what you've done at different places along the way, as far as just like you said, with what you're trying to use to best showcase what you can do right now?
The places I've been, it's usually been a game, but this Saturday is not going to be that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Our next question is from Paul Meyerberg with USA Today.
Hey, Mel, good afternoon. The recruiting calendar is going to open up on the 1st of June, run through about the end of that month. I'm curious, as you look ahead to that period, how do you expect that to go in terms of just the impact of having the ability to have people on campus and how crazy that might get for you and for your staff? And secondly, have you considered how you might use the opportunity to work out unofficial visits during that period as well?
Yeah, we're going to hit the ground running, and it's really kind of getting back to normal for us, and we're used to this in that month of June. We're used to recruits being in all day every day, whether they're in for official visits or they're in for unofficial visits. They're working out. We got camps going. That's what that time of year is usually all about, and so. We've been planning for it, and we'll be ready. We'll be ready to rock and roll.
Our next question is from Audrey Dahlgren with WLNS.
Hi, Mel. You mentioned at the beginning that you want people to see the culture of your practices at this spring game. And there are some players who have gained quite a bit of weight and gotten a little bigger throughout this spring ball period. But what else is going to maybe jump out to people when they see you guys on the field, or what do you at least hope jumps out to people?
I would say practice organization, the sense of urgency, the pace and the tempo and intensity at which we work. We don't waste any time. It's very organized, and we get a lot done in a short period of time, and the practices are physical. I think that's what people will see.
As a quick follow-up, do you think people are going to be not surprised by how much bigger some players are, but do you think that will jump out too?
Yeah, we'll see. I've noticed that quite a few of the players are bigger. They put on a significant amount of lean muscle mass. We're doing body comps right now with our guys before they leave, and the numbers are checking out. The numbers are actually showing what we're actually saying, and that we have made some significant strides in terms of our body composition. We gain muscle and reduce body fat, and that's part of the process. And we'll continue to do that throughout the summer, and rolling into fall camp. So we'll see. Well, it'll be interesting to know what the fans think about that.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Next question is from Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Mel, thanks for doing this. Hey, so the defensive backfield, especially at corner, I'm not sure you've got the usual number of allotment, your normal allotment of corners that you normally will have or will have in the fall. How much of a challenge has it been this spring? And you can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but how much of a challenge has it been this spring to scrimmage and so forth with maybe not as many scholarship players at corner as you will have in the fall or normally would have? How difficult has that been? And how has Kalen Gervin done if he's gotten on the field?
Yes, it's not very difficult. You coach the players that you have, and you coach them just like whether they're a scholarship or walk on. You coach them the same. It's technique and fundamentals. Teach, motivate, and develop, and get them in position to make plays, and that's really what we've done. Obviously, we're thin at some of these positions, and so we're expecting more players to come in this summer that are going to help us. the high school ranks and transfers. And so, you know, what we have now will look a lot different in the future, in the summer and going in the fall camp. You know, Gerv has done a good job. You know, when he's been out there, you know, he's a hard worker. Football is important to him. You know, it's not like you got to like it, love it, or live it. He loves football, and he's going to be a really strong player for us, I believe.
Any early impressions with Michael Gravely?
I don't have anything early on him, no.
Okay. All right. One more thing real quick. After you reviewed your film of the second scrimmage, what are some main areas of emphasis that you would like to see improve here for your third scrimmage opportunity?
Yeah, I want to see lower pad level. I want to see better hand placement. I want to see better footwork. I want to see guys play faster, and I want guys to be more physical on the field. I want to see 11 to the ball on defense. On offense, I want to see people getting moved at the line of scrimmage to get more push up front in the run game. I don't want to see any balls on the ground. That's what we want to see on Saturday.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.
Try to get to everybody. We'll go to Rainer Saban with the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Mel, you know, you saw this program at its peak when you were at Alabama in 2014. How far away do you think, based on what you've seen from last season and even the spring, from getting back to kind of that level where, you know, you're consistently competing for, you know, big bowl games and, you know, the league championship?
Yeah, only time will tell how far away we are. You know, we still got a lot of work to do with this particular team. We got guys coming this summer that we need to get into our program and get indoctrinated into our culture. And then we'll continue to gain ground and see what happens. But like I said, we had a long way to go. And you know, we have some catching up to do. And so that's what we're working hard to do that, you know, every single day. You know, we're very realistic about what we need to get done. And so we don't have a day to waste.
When you look at the Big Ten, though, landscape, I mean, there's been some recent quick success stories, Minnesota, Indiana, recently. Does that give you some level of confidence that this could be, you know, a quicker process, given the state of college football and obviously the introduction of the transfer portal and change the complexion of things?
I think when you take a close look at some of these programs that are having success, that have had success recently, you'll see that it's been a process, and they built a football team. It's been about culture. It's been about recruiting, and it's taken a measure of time. You know, I'm a very impatient person, but I don't get frustrated. So I know that there's a process, and we're going through that process right now to get our team as good as we can get, as fast as we can within our process. And so, you know, that's what we're doing every single day. We know we got some catching up to do. You know, how quickly we can get there is going to depend on us. It's going to depend on, you know, how much better we get, you know, every day that we have an opportunity to work, and it's going to depend on how well we recruit, you know, and our standards are high, and we have to perform to those standards each and every day. And the lowest form of performance that you accept becomes your culture. And so we're not going to accept anything less than what our standards are.
Thanks.
And our last one that we have is to get everybody is Stephen Brooks at 24/7 Sports. Stephen?
Hey, Mel, good to see you. Curious about when you say, you know, excited to show fans everything that you guys have been up to. What do you think will be, or hope, I guess, the areas that have made the most improvement since the last time they saw this team? Obviously, December at Penn State. You know, are there any groups that you could point out yet, even in the individual and team group settings before the scrimmaging, that folks could keep an eye on that might be exciting battles or anything like that? Or like I said, the greatest areas of improvement, I guess, from last year.
Yeah, well, one thing we have to do is we need to take care of the football. So if we see footballs on the ground, that's not a good thing. We need to be able to run the ball. So if you take a look at the offensive line, you want to see pad level, you want to see the line of scrimmage moving, you want to see surge, you want to see ball carriers falling forward on contact and running through the smoke, running behind their pads. You want to see guys playing through the echo of the whistle and finishing guys. And if we're in a live situation, you want to see guys on their backs. That's what you like. That's what you like to see on defense. We need to be stout in the trenches. Make sure they cannot run the ball inside. We want to knock people back and stand people up. We want to set the edge and build a wall up front. We want the linebackers that are in there to be able to make the plays they're supposed to make. In the back end, we need to be solid tacklers. Make sure you don't get the ball thrown over your head. When you have a chance to make a play, make the play. That's what we need to see. Those are improvements we need to make. Those are some things we did last year, but it was inconsistent. We need to do those on a consistent basis.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, looks like we got to everybody. So, Coach, we appreciate your time. We're excited to see you on the field Saturday in Spartan Stadium.
Thank you so much. Excited to see you. Go Green.
All right, I will now hit the pause button here. Noah Harvey will join us at 2 o'clock. Elijah Collins at 2:30. I'll keep this open. If somebody leaves and comes back, just shoot it in the chat. I'll record. I know everyone's probably got to write a quick update or whatnot. So we'll see everyone at 2 o'clock. Thank you.